This is Season 3 of The Score, the Team Roping Journal's regular podcast, where the team roping world talks. We've told the stories of some of the greatest cowboys, horses, and moments in the sport, and we're so far from done. In 2020, we'll bring you more of what you've come to expect, like interviews with the best cowboys and cowgirls we know, and we'll dive even deeper into subjects you care about. Look for more audio editions of the Team Roping Journal stories you might have missed in print, and learn about the great horses shaping the sport and great challenges facing our industry. All this and more in 2020. I'm Chelsea Schaefer. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of The Score. Today's show is with two-time NFR heeler Shay Carroll, originally from La Junta, Colorado. Shay's an interesting guy. He's an all-around hand who's shown up in a short-brimmed custom hat to bulldog at places like the Cinch Timed Event Championships. And he's a switch-ender who took a few years off of heeling to spin some steers. And now he's a horseman who shows quarter horses for the elite breeders at DT Horses. Shay's last trip to the finals was in 2016, and this year he's teaming up with World Champion Levi Simpson. We're going to cover a lot of ground in this interview. Today's episode is brought to you by Manna Pro. At Manna Pro, they believe in nurturing life. Since 1985, Manna Pro has been committed to providing high-quality, wholesome feeds, supplements, and treats to your horses at every stage of their lives. Their passion is happy, healthy pets, and they're your trusted partners just for that. All right, Shay. So to get started, thank you for meeting me here this morning. I'm not sure when we're going to air this podcast, but right now we're at the National Western in Denver. Is this your first rodeo of the year, or did you go to Odessa?
We went to Odessa.
How was it?
I got a leg on the first one. Levi did a good job. And then the second one, we were 4-2 and split 4th, 5th, 6th.
So this is your second rodeo with Levi, or did you guys go last?
We ended last year, like the last, 8 rodeos.
Mm-hmm. So how did you get to know Levi?
I've actually tried to been roping with him for probably maybe 6 or 7 years. When I come out of high school, we talked about going to Canada, and it's just never really worked. And then last year, we kind of just got paired up because of circumstances, and we were both super happy with how that happened. So.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. So you've been your career path has kind of wavered and had some ebbs and flows the last couple of years. Give me a little summary of what you've been doing since your last trip to the finals. And that was 2016?
Yeah, I made the finals in 2016, and I heeled that winter, and then I wanted to try the heading out because I thought there's probably a little more horsemanship involved in the heading, and that was a huge learning curve. The first year I did pretty good, but I ruined all my head horses. So then the second year they were all toasted and fried.
Did you cripple them or fry them, or what happened?
No, they just ducked and not run and not score. And it was a huge learning curve, probably the best thing I've ever done. And then too, I think is probably the most improvement I've ever had in my heeling was in those 2 years. So I'm super happy I did it, and I've got some young head horses. I'll probably go back at some point.
Can you tell on yourself? Can you tell a little bit about what happened with your head horses while you were heading?
Misconceptions. You start off with misconceptions of how it should probably work. Bad riding with your feet, bad hands.
Too much with your feet? Too little with your feet? What was going on?
It's real different. The buttons are different, and the way they need to operate is different. The move that they have to make, I had a misconception of how that move probably needed to work, and I got a lot of help from speed, and like I said, I'm super glad I did it. I think that's probably the most improvement I've had in my horsemanship as a whole, heading or heeling, was those 2 years. So,
what was your misconception with the move?
The head horses?
Yeah.
Well, you get some that bend too much, so then I went the other way, and I didn't want them to bend at all. I kind of wanted them to, stay pretty straight, and then you can't handle the steers, and then after a little bit, they start heading out before you throw, and I ruined quite a bit of them. Yeah.
Man, I'm glad you brought it up because I didn't. I'm impressed that you admit that.
It's just I just kind of view all of it as like a craft. You're just working at your craft, and every day you're kind of trying to get better at it. Whether it's heading, heeling, riding a 2-year-old, and You kind of have to admit what you're doing wrong and where your holes are to improve. You got to be realistic. You got to be confident, but you also have to be realistic in where your holes are at.
When you were in the middle of it, when you're in the middle of the heading process and going through all that, how were you mentally? Were you calm and it was like a craft, or were you fighting it? Were you?
Oh, I loved heading. It was so much easier for me mentally because you got to think you really get kind of the same roll every time. There's variations, but not anywhere close to the same variations that happen in the heeling. Heeling's very much a reaction sport. Heading, if you mess up, you go to the next rodeo, you're probably going to get the same. The start will be different, but it's going to be straight down the middle. Steer's head's probably going to be up. And for me, that was a lot easier on my mental side of it than having to, because I'm pretty black and white, and one thing I always messed up heeling was not reacting to it. I try to plan too much.
Sure.
Heading, you can plan a little bit more, and I loved it. I mean, I really, really loved it. But what I also noticed about the heading is I had probably 6 or 7 head horses, and I really only won on 2 of them. The others were good, but there's only certain horses I could win on, and I think that's everybody. You know, you find horses you can win on, and once they were done, it was just game over for the heading.
What was the old bay that you had?
Jim Dandy.
Jim Dandy. And that was the horse Trevor won the world on?
Yeah, so I love Jim Dandy. He taught me so much about the heading. No, Turtle won the world on him.
Turtle won the world on him.
Richard D. Guerin won head horse of the BFI on him.
Yeah.
And a lot of people had thought he was done. You know, he wouldn't score and he wouldn't run. I got him for very, very cheap, and he wouldn't score, wouldn't run for me originally either. I actually bought him, and I went to the George Strait like 3 days later, and I had someone come up to me and they said, "Don't ride that horse, he'll just duck." And I'm like, well, shoot, you know, I just bought him. And he was good there, but what I ended up doing, he wouldn't score and wouldn't run for me. What I ended up doing is I went back all the way to Richard D. Guerin's wife. I figured out how she rode him and how she trained him. And the way I ended up getting him to work was I used like a little gag with a real high curb strap. And they used to ride a perfect bit on him. I rode that on him a lot. But I never made him in the practice pen. I went to like jerseys, and I let him just walk out and trot up to the jersey, and I do that 8-10 times, and I go to the rodeo. He would score and he'd run. He'd do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and me and him were buddies. I love that horse.
Do you still have him, or did he?
I pretty much give him to my cousins over in Yuma. He's 22, and
Nice.
it's one of them things you need to ride a great one to really understand what a great one is. So even though he was 22 and old, he still had things that
he could teach them.
Yeah,
sure.
he could teach them. Yeah.
Very cool. So, transitioning back to heeling, what did you learn in that time heading that's helping you now?
Well, one of the things I noticed a lot was when I heeled, I was around a lot of good headers. I was around very few good heelers, because, you know, if I go heel for Charlie, there's not 2 heelers there. It's me and Charlie. If I go heel for Speed, it's me and Speed. That kind of stuff. But when I went to head and I started practicing with Travis Graves, I'd head for him. I'd head for Corey Kuntz. Nano Garza, extremely, extremely good. And you kind of get to see the different variations of how people are doing the same thing. So I picked up a lot of different things of when those guys are accelerating through the turn, when they're holding in the turn, some of their unique deals in their swing. Nano's probably got one of the most simple and effective swings in the whole PRCA, and I learned a lot from him.
Why do you say that about Nano's swing? What about it?
It's just perfect. It's all the time. You know, he can be in a bad spot, but his swing is so perfect. It allows he gets it into small windows, and he rarely slips legs. If the steers whip hard, he's always in a good spot, and his swing lets him just come right out of it and put it down. And I took a lot from him.
You did?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's very. Where did you come across Nano? Where did you guys rep together?
Well, I was in Arizona, and he was talking about wanting to go rodeo. When I went to head, and I couldn't find anybody that wanted to go, and we talked about it, and it was a good deal because Nano was not a rookie heeler. He was a rookie to the PRCA, but he was a very veteran heeler. Vice versa, I was not a rookie to the PRCA. I knew how to enter, I knew how to get around, but I was a rookie header. So we complemented each other pretty well.
That's cool. Absolutely. Now, as far as getting help in your horsemanship, who do you look to for help?
really depends on what we're doing. Are we riding 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, head horses, heel horses?
You tell me what you like.
I mean, I think Sean Grant, and probably as good as I've seen with the 3-year-olds. He's helped me tremendously this year. Head horses, definitely Speed or Larry D. And
how are Speed and Larry D different? Do they agree on stuff, or?
I think they agree more than they probably let on. Yeah, but they're both outstanding, and they both really know their craft. And I'm pretty lucky that I've gotten to take some of her stuff and some of his stuff and try to see where some middle ground's at.
Yeah, absolutely.
The heel horses, Sean helped me a bunch, and there's been so many people along the way that it's gotten so mettled now that I've rode with everybody and took bits and pieces of everybody, and there's people that do so many good things that you look at and you want to improve on, and maybe try to take those parts and put them into what you're trying to mix. But I will tell you, just horsemanship in general. I started with older horses when I was young, and started kind of working backwards, and now I'm down to, like, I've been putting the first rides on a couple of my 2-year-olds, and understanding how to get them to ride around has helped a lot, and just understanding how to ride the finished product more. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like,
I wish I'd started doing that sooner.
Yeah.
Because there for a while, see, I got into the horsemanship because I wanted to be able to keep them doing the cool stuff. And then later, it was I wanted to be able to get them to put it in them. So I was getting them at 90 days or 120 days, and now I'm down to, putting the first rides on them. And what you'll find is the first 30 rides is probably the most important. First 60 rides, the first 60 steers, how you have them enter the corner, the first 60 steers, super important. Head horses, the first 60 steers you run and how you're having to move, it's very difficult to get the wrong thing out of them. But if you put it in them correctly, then it's the same thing. It's hard to get it out. They'll do it for forever. Now,
I know you are, you work with Sean, or you have worked with Sean quite a bit over the years, or the last year probably. Sean is very into, and Dean is very into the Clinton Anderson method of colt starting. Is that how you're learning to ride 2-year-olds, or?
I think there's the same thing. There's probably a lot more agreement in that industry than they would like to admit, but what I've seen there is some probably the best started 3-year-olds to rope on that I've personally ever seen. As far as probably gentle, soft, willing, and that program that they've got over there is going the right direction.
As far as bridles that they're riding in snaffles the first 30 days, is that?
No.
What? Tell me how. Yeah, tell me the bit evolution there.
They've really followed the Clinton Anderson method, where they just cruise around the first couple. I mean, tons of groundwork, but when they first get on them, they're just in a loping halter. They hold on to the saddle horn, and they just kick them around. And they go to the corner, they click to them, whip them kind of on the butt, and go, go, go. What will end up happening is about 5 rides into it, the horse won't want to go anymore. The whole idea is getting the horse to where you're pushing the horse from the very beginning and never having to pull. You're not wasting your breakaway, and I like that idea.
I like that too. Yeah.
I never had horses over there pull on you.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, as far as the horse show side of things, how do you feel about it this far into the? When did you start showing in the AQHA, and how are you feeling about the experience so far?
I haven't showed very much in the AQHA. I've just showed my own. I wanted to go test it out, so I just took my own horses, and I went to Fort Worth a couple times, like probably the last 4 years. I've done well with my own horses, and then the fraternity come along, and I really like that. I think that's the way it needs to go. I think they're judging the horses correctly. I think it's really good for the industry, and I'm real excited about that. I've got some good client horses. I've got some good horses that are my own, and hopefully that just kind of keeps taking off, because I think it's good for the industry, and we're gonna need that.
I'm not sure when this podcast is going to come out, like I said, but for our March issue, we're doing a breeder's guide, and I just talked to John and Kay Coltharp, who own Bet. He's a freckled cat. And they
also
said,
known as Answer,
Answer. They said wonderful things about you and your relationship with that horse.
Yeah, that's an outstanding horse. Rhett Baker did an amazing job getting him broke and taking him to the snaffle bit. By the time I got on him, very simple to ride, very simple to rope on, just kind of point him to the cow. I've got a 3C performance horse that is 3 coming 4 that I'm super excited about. I'm already starting, just turned 4. I'm already started her on steers, and she's going to be super flashy. But I own her mom. I got her mom from them, and she has a colt here coming maybe 14 days, and then I'll rebreed it to Answer.
That's cool.
So next year I'll have a colt out of Answer. That'll be my first one.
I love that horse's story. We'll talk.
No, he's neat. He's
yeah,
a neat horse.
It's a neat horse, and they seem like really neat people. I think.
They've been amazing, and they're amazing to everybody. They treat everybody like family, and probably could learn something from them.
You come from a really close family. Talk about how kind of getting out into the industry and the broader industry as a whole has been in your experience. Like, how have you navigated the politics of team roping, the culture of team roping, rodeo lifestyle, all of it? What are your thoughts this many years in?
That's a big question.
I know, that is a big question. I worded it terribly. I hope you can.
No, like I said earlier, I think it is. I went through different phases of what I've thought about the industry and where it's going and whatnot, but where I'm at now is I've pretty much, in my opinion, I have a connection or a relationship with most of the people in the industry, whether we're close or not, but we have a positive relationship. And then now it's just working on your craft every day and being humble enough to ask those people for help. And it seems that once they understand that, or they realize that, they're very willing to help you. And I just feel like the older I get, the more I realize the less I know. It's just, I feel like the first 2 years I made the NFR, it was probably just on a little bit of, you're so confident and you don't really know what you're doing. And I wish I could probably get some of that back, but I think this is the right way to go. So.
When I first met you, I think, was it the college finals? You won the college finals twice, correct? Just once?
Yeah.
Okay, it was the first year then that you won, or the only year you won the college finals,
yeah,
that I first met you. What were you going to school for?
Business marketing.
And you have your degree? Any plans, or are you using business marketing in day-to-day life? Any plans to?
I started out trying to, and I didn't really like it. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't like it. And where I'm at now is obviously I pulled off social media and stuff just because I don't think it's it's good for companies and stuff, but I don't think it's in the best interest for normal people. Your mental health and stuff like that, it's just not good for I don't think. So now I guess what I'm trying to do is, if you just represent yourself correctly and you know everybody in the industry already, and you treat them right, and you can market yourself that way, if that makes sense.
I mean, I think Jake and Clay kind of got somewhere without social media at
Yeah,
some point.
yeah.
So I think, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of.
Do you like teaching schools?
It really depends on. I get excited about it, but then depending on the kind of students you run into, there's a wide variety of students, and as you put them on, you'll kind of get to able where you can identify why those people are there very early in the school, and then kind of gravitate towards the ones that are there truly to learn. Those are the ones there's people there that are they're just there to chat. There's people there that are just to say they went to your school. There's people that just want you to tell them how good their horse is. But there's a very small group of people that come that truly want to get better. I love helping those, and those people we usually end up making long-term connections. And I don't mind looking at videos all day long for them, because same thing, if they're working at their craft, whatever, if they're a 3 or an 8, I love helping those people.
We're going to take a break from this interview to talk about Cetal M, the joint health supplement. Champions, colleagues, and personal trainers, whatever role they play, they're an important part of our lives. And as much as we count on them, they count on us all the more. Cetol M Joint Supplements for Horses is a new approach to joint health, powered by omega-5 fatty acids, which helps maintain healthy joints by reducing inflammation and promoting positive immune response. Cetol M uses an optimal blend of plant-derived cetyl myristoyate, glucosamine, and MSM for superior results. Visit scorejointhealth.com for your $10 off coupon. For tough rides and long hauls, they're here to make your horses' lives the best they can be. Manna Pro, nurturing life. Remember, it's scorejointhealth.com for a $10 off coupon. Tell me about your practice session. What does a day in the practice pen for Shay Carroll look like? Some people talk about perfecting practice and making sure it's a planned situation. Tell me about yours.
Well, I guess because there's so many things, as far as I've had lots of finished heel horses, that would be one practice. I've had lots of finished head horses, that's another practice. I've had very few finished horses and green horses, that's another practice. So what I would really say is every time I've tried to plan practices, at the end of the practice it's deviated from the plan.
Yeah.
So you got to have a broad plan of what you think needs to happen, but you also have to be in the practice flexible enough to change. And I think that's reading your horse for whatever he's needing at that moment, right? So maybe you think, today I need to push this horse and I'm going to rope for me. And you run 2 steers and that was not what he needed today. And it's been flexible enough to stop and say, hey, okay, I'm just going to tie him up. Now I'm going to rope the dummy on him later. I'm going to ride this horse. And that flexibility is what I think is needed to get the most out of your practice. You got to have a broad plan, but then at the same time, let the horse tell you what the practice is that day. Once they're good, you know, I've had good horses and I've lost good horses, so I know how important they are to have and keeping them maintained and not just running them into the ground. So once they're good, it's just keeping them ready and understanding that, hey, I'm ready too. A lot of young guys, and I know I got into it, they just keep running steers on their good horse because they need that reinforcement of I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. But then they lose their good horse, and you can't do it without the good horse. So it's keeping that one maintained and operating at a high level. And having good communication with your partner. Some of the best partners I've had were good communication, and them understanding what's going on, you understanding what they have going on. Definitely since I've headed, I feel like I'm a way better partner. So a couple things that I've tried to do now that I'm back on healing is you understand the problems that they're having. Not that you're over there helping them, because I don't really believe in that, but understanding it and maybe giving them support and I don't know what the word, encouragement.
Yeah.
Even at our level, that's extremely important. And I think that's something I do better now than I've done before when I was before I headed, because I understand the difficulties that they're going through.
Yeah.
I've really seen a good feedback in a partnership from that. So your guy's horse rears out at the rodeo, and not that I was the guy that throws your rope or whatnot, but you get frustrated, right? Well, now what positive encouragement can do in that moment to the team can pay dividends down the road. You know, just saying, hey, if it happens, don't worry about it. If you need to score, I've got these properties available. Let them make their own choice or whatnot. And just tell them we'll get them next time. And having them know that you're on the team is real important to the team chemistry. Something I've been watching a lot of, I like paying attention to sports and the top guys, not specific teams, but top individuals, right? And how they lead. And that's kind of what's got me onto that, is all the great guys have a way of being a great team member. Some of that is taking responsibility when it is your fault. Some of it's taking responsibility when it's not your fault for the good of the team, you know. And all of the good leaders in any sport seem to be able to do that.
And I imagine You know, Levi I probably know less than most of the guys, just because he's not out there. He's not around just as much as everybody else. But I will always remember Levi the year he won the world at the NFR. I so admired how he carried himself, his how humble he was. Talk about how you think your partnership with Levi is going to fit as far as your personalities.
We're real similar in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty laid back, both of us. And you always start and it fits good to begin with or whatnot. But I've got high hopes for this team. I think this is the guy that can get me there. And if I can help get him back to the finals, I think it gives us both a good chance to be successful in that barn. I mean,
it's pretty hard to stop Levi.
One thing I've noticed is he's roped in the small buildings in Canada for so long. When you have to go fast, his first swing is so smooth, he can just come right out of it and stick it on him. So this year, you know, I've talked to, I haven't made the NFR in 3 years, so I've lost most of my sponsors besides the people that are my family and my close family, even my close family in the industry, Classic Ropes, Classic Equine. Those guys are the best. But I've talked to my other sponsors, and this year, I think this is a great chance for me to get back, and we're going to put everything in that basket to get us back.
What horses are in the trailer?
Well, that's what we're talking about. I've got one that I like. I really would like something to go with him, to pair with him. Last year, Buckaloo did a great job heading. My horses were probably a little bit green. We went from 60 to 19 just very rapidly, and then heel horses fell apart. I leased my old roan back, and then we struggled as a team after that. But this year, moving forward, trying to put horses in the trailer, trying to get something now before Reno that we don't have that same problem. Levi's horse is at his prime right now, and that's why.
Does he ride that that blaze face horse still?
Yeah, and he's sound, and he's in his prime, and that's awesome. Why I've talked to the people that I have behind me and told them what I've thought, and I'm going to get something else to go with that horse that just gives us the best chance to get back. The rodeo industry, it seems like it's very hard to make ends meet until you get to Vegas, and then things become a lot simpler when you leave Vegas with a lot of money. The next year it just falls into place, and that's that's the game, and that's fine, right? That's the game we've decided to play, and the guy just needs to play it correctly. And
the horse I remember you most with is Sports Center. Is Sports Center still around?
Yeah, Sports Center is a calf horse now.
He's a calf horse now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And he was an outstanding calf horse when I bought him, but he was toasted in the box. Now he scores amazing, and he's outstanding. He would work at any level in the calf roping. They're heeling on him too, but
Who has him?
His name's Matt Glover. He's a high school kid, outstanding family, great place for the horse to be. The kid ropes calves extremely well. That's his passion. That's what he wants to do. He's got great calf horses, and it just so happens that they bought a heel horse and he fits right in with the calf horses. And he still heels on him too, but he's
good.
Pretty outstanding calf horse.
And no timed event for you this year?
No. First year I went, I still have back problems from the first year. I'm not a very good bulldogger, and it kind of came to a point. I don't know if it's just age. I'm not even that old, but you have to decide what you are. I feel like what I am and what I like to do. I like to head, I like to heel, and I like to ride colts. And if I mess my back up, none of that's going to happen. And it's bad enough now where if I'll ride a couple rough horses, I got to go to the chiropractor. So I want to go help. I love the timed event. It's a great event. Awesome to watch guys do different things, and I want to help the guys that win. So this year I'm going to help Terrio. I think he's got a great chance to win. I don't have a second guy, but I'm going to head and heel for him, and I might pick up somebody but it's an event that I want to stay a part of. I want to go watch. I think it's over the top of the Hort Dog this year, but
oh, it is. Dang it!
it's
Yeah.
it's an event that I really. They've got team ropings every day. So.
I remember when the first list came out that had you on it for the timed event. I said something to Troy. I was like, Shay Carroll's going to do the timed event, and my husband was like, well, yeah, he's like meant for it, and I didn't realize that.
Well, I started bulldogging my junior year of high school for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was going to do. Then I started calf roping in the PRCA that in 2016 for that reason, because I kept trying to get in. And I don't know where I forgot how to bulldog and do not want to get off. It's not really that. I mean, I'm not very good anyway, but I do not like to get off. It was kind of. Here's a funny story. A lot of great bulldoggers were willing to help me. So there was Hunter Cure. When Hunter was helping me, there was at least maybe 5 NFR guys there that day helping me. I run by and then I go to Jason Thomas's house to bulldog, and I run by the first 12, and these guys are giving me so much trouble, and they're like, "Are you scared to get off?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm terrified." And I don't remember that when I was a junior, senior in high school. I bulldogged in college, but I don't like to get off. And I don't know. Every day you're working on your rope horses to be bridled up and just loping around and gentle and slowing down, and
then
I
you
just
get on a bulldogging horse and an O-ring.
I don't like getting off.
I get it.
So it's just something I need to
not need to work on. You don't need to work on it ever again, right?
Last year I wanted to draw out. I really did, for that reason. And when it got time, I thought it was too late, and I thought it was be inconsiderate to the people at the timed event, because it was too late to replace him. And then I have a young kid that I help, and he's like 11 or 12. I help him once a week with his heeling, and his dad texts me saying that they got their tickets and they're coming to watch. And I couldn't make myself back out. So I went over there, and I told myself I wasn't going to re-jump. And I think I got 3 times in the bulldog. And if you would give me 3 10s and 2 no times, I'd probably enter. Like, I'll just start with 3 10s and 2 no times and see how it goes, because I think I could finish in the top 3 doing that.
I think so.
But
very good. Well, thank you so much, Shay.
Yeah.
Thanks again to our sponsors at Manna Pro. Manna Pro is a recognized leader in the care and nurturing of pets with roots back to 1842 and long-established brands in companion pet, equine, backyard chicken, and small animal categories. Manna Pro's product is Cetal M, and you can check that out at scorejointhealth.com.